Welcome back to Z Coin Collectors and Treasure Hunters. If you've ever had a handful of pennies and thought they were worthless, you might want to look again, because today we're diving into the top 6 most valuable Abraham Lincoln pennies that could be sitting in your change jar right now. Some of these coins have sold for hundreds of thousands and even millions of dollars in today's market, so grab your magnifying glass because what you learned today could make you a millionaire. We're diving deep into the 1978 Washington quarter dollar, a seemingly ordinary coin that might be worth a fortune under the right circumstances. So grab your coin jar and let's find out if you're sitting on thousands of dollars without even knowing it. The Washington quarter has a long and fascinating history. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, it quickly became a permanent part of American currency. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features the iconic profile of Washington, while the reverse shows the majestic eagle with outstretched wings. This design remained largely unchanged for decades, including on the 1978 version we're focusing on today. Now, let's talk specifically about the 1978 Washington quarter. By this year, quarters were no longer made of silver. In fact, starting in 1965, the U.S. Mint removed silver from quarters and replaced it with a copper-nickel clad composition to reduce costs. So your 1978 quarter is made of an inner core of pure copper, layered with an outer surface of copper and nickel. But here's where it gets interesting. Although millions were minted, over 500 million to be exact, not all 1978 quarters are created equal. The value of a 1978 Washington quarter depends heavily on its condition, mint mark, and whether it has any rare errors or unique characteristics that set it apart from the rest. There are 3 main mint locations for 1978 quarters: the Philadelphia Mint, which struck coins with no mint mark; the Denver Mint, indicated by a small D under the eagle on the reverse; and the San Francisco Mint, which produced proof coins marked with an S. Proof coins are struck with specially polished dies and are made for collectors rather than circulation. Most circulated 1978 quarters are only worth face value, 25 cents. But if you find one in uncirculated condition, or a rare proof coin, the value starts to climb. A standard uncirculated 1978 quarter might sell for between $2 and $5. Not bad for a coin you could find in your change. But what about the big money? That's where rare varieties and errors come in. Some of these errors occurred during the minting process, creating unique coins that collectors go crazy for. One of the most valuable error types is the double die. This happens when the coin is struck twice by the die, slightly misaligned, resulting in a doubled image, especially on the lettering or date. If you find a 1978 quarter with a visible double die error on the obverse or reverse, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the clarity and condition. Another rare error is the off-center strike. These coins were not properly aligned in the press, causing the image to appear off-center. The more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin. A 1978 quarter struck 40 or 50% off-center can sell for over $100. Some collectors have even paid several hundred for extreme examples. Then there are clipped planchet errors, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a mishap during the blank cutting process. These can also fetch big money, especially when combined with other visible flaws or in high-grade condition. Let's not forget about the no mint mark proof error. While San Francisco proof coins usually have the S mint mark, a few 1978 proofs were mistakenly released without the mint mark. These are extremely rare and can be worth over $1,000 if certified and graded by a reputable service. Speaking of grading, condition plays a huge role in a coin's value. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with 70 being a perfect coin showing no imperfections under magnification. A 1978 Washington quarter graded MS-67 or higher by PCGS or NGC, 2 of the top grading companies, can command premium prices. We're talking about values in the range of $50 to over $150, even for non-error coins. Now, let's talk about recent market trends. Coin collecting has grown rapidly in recent years, and high-grade or rare error coins are in high demand. Auction results show that a 1978 D Washington quarter in MS67 condition sold for over $200. A 1978 S-proof quarter graded PR70 DCM, the highest possible grade, has sold for over $400. These are not your everyday pocket change. So how can you tell if your 1978 quarter is valuable? First, check for a mint mark. Then, look closely for signs of errors, doubling, missing details, or unusual shapes. If your coin looks particularly sharp or untouched, it may be worth submitting for grading. It costs a bit upfront, but it's worth it if your coin turns out to be a gem. You should also be aware of counterfeits. As coin values rise, so does the risk of fake coins entering the market. Always buy from trusted dealers, and if you're selling, use a reputable auction site or grading service. In conclusion, the 1978 Washington quarter is more than just small change. It's a piece of American history that could be worth a surprising amount. Whether it's a rare error, a high-grade specimen, or a unique proof variation, there's real potential hidden in this everyday coin. So don't overlook those quarters in your drawer. Check your change, use a magnifying glass, and maybe, just maybe, you'll discover a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into coin collecting, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and keep uncovering the hidden value in your coins. Today we're diving into one of the most talked about and mysterious coins in American numismatics, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar. Now, at first glance, the 1982 quarter might seem like just another common piece of pocket change. But believe it or not, certain 1982 quarters are worth hundreds, even thousands, of dollars today. The key is knowing what to look for. To understand why some of these coins are so valuable, we have to start with the historical context. 1982 was a pivotal year for U.S. coinage. The United States Mint made a major decision that year. Due to budget cuts and economic pressures, they stopped producing uncirculated mint sets. That means fewer high-quality examples of coins from that year were preserved. And that alone already increases collector interest. But here's where it gets really interesting. 1982 is also the year when the U.S. Mint started transitioning the way they made coins. Specifically, they began switching from using mostly copper-based planchets to copper-nickel-clad ones. But because of this change and because of the lack of official mint sets, a few errors and oddities slipped through the cracks. These mistakes are now the holy grail for collectors. Let's talk about the most famous varieties of the 1982 Washington quarter. The first big one is the 1982 D Washington quarter with a missing mint mark. Normally, Denver minted quarters bear a small D on the obverse side, right next to Washington's ponytail. But some 1982 quarters from Denver were struck without that mint mark. If you happen to find one of these, it's a rare error and can be worth a decent chunk of money, especially in uncirculated condition. Next, we have something even more dramatic. The 1982 No P mint mark quarter. Although most of these errors are better known on the dime from the same year, some collectors look closely for similar variations on the quarter as well. But what truly skyrockets the value is the condition and the die variety. See, in 1982, the mint used both large date and small date dies for the numbers in the date. This applies more clearly to Lincoln cents, but the principle is the same. Die varieties always interest serious collectors. Combine that with the absence of mint sets, and you've got a year where high-grade coins are hard to come by. Now let's talk about values. A regular circulated 1982 quarter might only be worth face value, 25 cents. But a 1982 D quarter in high mint state condition, say MS65 or higher, can be worth $10 to $30. Not bad for pocket change. But here's the kicker. Some 1982 Washington quarters in pristine condition, graded MS67 or better, have sold for hundreds of dollars. In fact, an MS68 1982 D quarter sold for over $1,000 at auction. That's not a typo. Over $1,000 for a single quarter, and there's more. Some error varieties, like off-center strikes, broad strikes, or double dies, from the 1982 year have fetched anywhere from $50 to over $500, depending on the severity and the grade. If you find a 1982 quarter with a clear double die, hold on to it. Those are rare and sought after. So, how do you tell if your 1982 quarter is valuable? Start by checking the mint mark. Most 1982 quarters come from Philadelphia or Denver. If it has no mint mark, that's usually Philadelphia. But if it's missing where there should clearly be one, that could be an error. Then check the condition. Coins with minimal wear, sharp details, and no damage are always worth more. Finally, look closely, really closely, for any doubling, misalignment, or unusual characteristics. If you're unsure, it's always worth getting the coin graded or evaluated by a trusted dealer. Another thing to consider is demand. In today's market, more people than ever are collecting coins. Thanks to social media, YouTube, and online auctions, rare coins are getting more attention, and that means higher prices, especially for coins from key years like 1982. If you have one of these quarters sitting in a drawer, you could be holding on to something worth real money. And here's a little bonus tip. Some 1982 quarters are found on planchets intended for foreign coins. Yes, that happened. The U.S. Mint sometimes struck coins on leftover blanks from foreign contracts. If your 1982 quarter seems light, or looks a little off in color or thickness, it might be struck on the wrong planchet, and that can be worth hundreds or even thousands depending on rarity. So, to sum it up, while most 1982 Washington quarters are worth just 25 cents, some rare varieties and high-grade examples can be worth serious money. Especially if they feature errors, are in exceptional condition, or have unusual minting characteristics. It's a great example of how something that looks ordinary might actually be a hidden gem. So, next time you get change back from the store, don't just toss it in a jar. Take a moment. Look at your quarters. And if you find a 1982, inspect it closely. You never know. That little coin might just be worth a whole lot more than you think. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more deep dives into rare and valuable coins, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our next numismatic adventure. Until next time, keep searching, and happy collecting. Today we're diving deep into a seemingly ordinary piece of American change that could be worth far more than just 25 cents. We're talking about the 1984 Washington quarter. You might have one in your pocket right now and not even know that it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So stay tuned because we're covering the full history, rare errors, and current market values of this remarkable coin. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, this coin features a profile of George Washington on the obverse side and a bald eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. The design remained largely unchanged until the state quarters program began in 1999. But the 1984 edition has something special going for it. The 1984 Washington quarter was struck at two major U.S. mints, Philadelphia and Denver. You can tell which mint produced your coin by looking just to the right of Washington's ponytail. A small letter P means it was struck in Philadelphia, while AD stands for Denver. In total, over 1.2 billion quarters were minted that year, so on the surface, this coin seems pretty common. But not all 1984 quarters are created equal. Now here's where things get interesting. Some 1984 quarters contain striking errors that make them highly desirable to collectors. One of the most famous is the so-called spitting eagle variety. This occurs when a die crack on the reverse side makes it look like the eagle is spitting out a line or projectile from its beak. This is a relatively rare error and has fetched up to $100 or more depending on the coin's condition. Another valuable variety involves off-center strikes. If the coin was not perfectly aligned during minting, it may appear lopsided or show only part of the design. These off-center errors can range in value from $50 to several hundred depending on how extreme the misalignment is. The more dramatic the error, the higher the value. But that's not all. Some collectors are on the lookout for double die errors. These happen when the coin is struck more than once with a misaligned die, causing parts of the design or lettering to appear doubled. Although there are no widely recognized double die varieties for the 1984 quarter, some minor cases have been reported, and these can still bring in a decent premium if certified by a grading service. Speaking of grading, condition is everything when it comes to coin collecting. A 1984 quarter that's been circulated and shows signs of wear might only be worth face value. But an uncirculated coin, especially one graded mint state 65 or higher, could be worth far more. Coins in pristine condition can sell for $20 to $50 or more. And if it's an error coin in mint condition, you might be looking at hundreds. Now let's talk about proof coins. In 1984, the U.S. Mint also produced special proof quarters in San Francisco. These coins were struck using highly polished dies and intended for collectors. They bear an S mint mark and feature an extraordinary level of detail and mirror-like surfaces. While most 1984 S-proof quarters are worth about $2 to $5, those graded a perfect proof 70 can be worth significantly more. High-grade proofs have been known to sell for over $100 in top condition. So what is the current market value of a 1984 Washington quarter today? On average, a circulated coin without errors is worth between 25 cents and $1 depending on its condition. Uncirculated coins start at around $5 and can go up to $30 for high mint state examples. Error coins like the Spitting Eagle or off-center strikes can command anywhere from $50 to over $300, especially if authenticated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. For example, in recent auctions, a 1984-piece Spitting Eagle in mint state 65 sold for over $250. A perfectly preserved 1984 D quarter with an off-center strike sold for over $500. And some rare proof examples have touched the $150 mark. These numbers can fluctuate based on collector demand, but one thing is clear: this coin is far more valuable than most people think. So what should you do if you find a 1984 quarter in your change jar or coin roll hunt? First, check the mint mark. Look for APD or S. Then examine the coin closely for any unusual lines, doubling, or off-center designs. If it looks like it might be special, don't spend it. Take it to a local coin shop or send it to a grading service to find out its true value. Before we wrap up, let me give you a quick tip. Lighting is crucial when checking for coin errors. Use a strong LED light and a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. You'll be amazed at what you might uncover on the surface of your coins. In conclusion, the 1984 Washington quarter is a small piece of American history that still circulates today. While most of these coins are only worth face value, a select few hold the potential to be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. With a little knowledge and a sharp eye, you might just strike it rich with a coin you already own. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like this video if you found it helpful. Subscribe for more in-depth coin guides and error coin secrets. And let us know in the comments if you've ever found a valuable 1984 quarter. Until next time, keep hunting and happy collecting. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of a coin that might be hiding in your pocket change right now, the 2000p Washington quarter dollar. This seemingly ordinary coin could actually be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So stick around as we explore its history, uncover some of the rarest errors ever found, and reveal the current market value for collectors in 2025. Let's get into it. First, a quick overview. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. currency since 1932. Originally introduced to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, it has undergone several design changes over the years. But the year 2000 was special. That's when the U.S. Mint was deep into the State Quarters program, one of the most popular coin series ever released. In 2000, the Philadelphia Mint struck millions of quarters, including those from Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, and Virginia. But the one that draws the most attention from collectors isn't about the state it represents, it's about the errors, anomalies, and mintage quirks that make some of these coins worth big money. Let's start with the basics. The 2000p quarter features the same obverse design as usual, the left-facing portrait of George Washington by John Flanagan. On the reverse, each state quarter design varies, depending on which of the 5 state issues it belongs to. But regardless of the design, the 2000p mint mark is where things get really interesting. Now, you might be asking, what's so special about a coin that was minted in the hundreds of millions? The answer is hidden in the details. Specifically, in the errors point, one of the most famous errors from the year 2000 is the South Carolina quarter with the extra leaf or die gouge. Some of these show an unusual extra element around the palmetto tree, caused by a die defect. These can sell for over $100 depending on the condition. Another incredibly valuable find is the 2000p Massachusetts quarter with double die errors, where details on the coin appear duplicated, especially on the inscriptions like United States of America or E pluribus unum. These doubled dies can be hard to spot without magnification, but collectors pay a premium for a verified example. And then there's the holy grail of the 2000p errors, the mule error quarter. This error is legendary. It's a 2000p Washington quarter struck on a Sacagawea dollar obverse. Yes, you heard that right. Somehow, the obverse die from a dollar coin was paired with the reverse die of a quarter, creating a one-of-a-kind hybrid coin. Only a handful of these are known to exist, and one of them sold for over $190,000 at auction. This is easily one of the most valuable mint errors in U.S. coinage history. So how did that happen? Most likely, it was a mistake at the mint when the wrong die pair was loaded into the press. But because both coins were struck in the same facility, the Philadelphia Mint, it's technically possible. And it did happen. The result is a once-in-a-lifetime error that has made collectors go wild ever since. Now let's talk about condition. The value of a 2000p quarter increases significantly when the coin is in mint state condition, especially MS65 and above. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC fetch higher prices, especially when they feature full strike details and little to no wear.I in mint state. Even a regular 2000p quarter can be worth $5 to $25 depending on the demand for the specific state design. But once you add an error or anomaly into the mix, the price skyrockets. For example, a Massachusetts quarter with a clearly visible double die in mint state could be worth between $150 and $300. A South Carolina extra leaf quarter in MS66 condition has been known to sell for over $400. Now let's look at the current market as of 2025. Interest in state quarters has grown again, especially with younger collectors entering the hobby. Social media platforms like TikTok and YouTube have exploded with videos showcasing rare coins, and that means more people are checking their change. Auction sites like eBay are showing strong prices for verified 2000p error quarters. Coins with clear photos, third-party grading, and detailed descriptions are fetching premium prices. If you've got one of these in high grade with an unusual error, you're sitting on a coin that could easily bring in hundreds of dollars. And remember, the mule error we mentioned earlier, if one ever appears on the market again, expect it to break 6 figures. Serious collectors and investors are always on the lookout for rare US mint mistakes like this. So, before you spend that 25 cents on a vending machine or parking meter, take a second look. You might just have a tiny treasure in your pocket. To wrap it all up, the 2000p Washington quarter might look ordinary at first glance, but its history, rare errors, and collector demand have turned it into one of the most exciting coins from the state quarters era. From valuable double dies to the once-in-a-generation mule error, there's a lot more to this coin than meets the eye. Check your change, go through your old coin jars, and maybe even visit a few local coin shows. Who knows, you could be the next person to find one of these valuable gems. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more rare coin deep dives, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting! Where we dive into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures. Today we're focusing on a modern coin that may be hiding in your pocket change right now, the 2018 D Washington quarter dollar. It might look like just another coin at first glance, but the truth is, some of these coins are worth a lot more than face value. In fact, certain examples have been sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars depending on their condition and rarity. Let's take a deep dive into the history, the varieties, and the current market value of the 2018 D Washington quarter dollar. To understand the potential of this coin, we first need to go back to its origins. The 2018 quarters were part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series that began in 2010 and continued through 2021. Each year, 5 new quarter designs were released, each celebrating a national park or historic site from a different state or territory. In 2018, 5 unique designs were minted. These featured Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore in Michigan, Apostle Islands National Lakeshore in Wisconsin, Voyageurs National Park in Minnesota, Cumberland Island National Seashore in Georgia, and Block Island National Wildlife Refuge in Rhode Island. Each of these designs was struck with both AP Mint mark from Philadelphia and AD Mint mark from Denver. Today, we are zeroing in on the 2018 D Mint mark coins. Coins struck in Denver have a D mark located on the obverse, right next to Washington's ponytail. Now, here's where things get interesting. While these coins were produced in large numbers, collectors and error hunters have identified specific varieties and mint errors that dramatically increase their value. These include double die obverse, off-center strikes, struck-through errors, and even wrong planchet errors. One of the most notable errors for the 2018 D series involves the Cumberland Island quarter. Some examples feature die breaks that create what's known as a cud. That's a chunk of metal that appears where the die was damaged during minting. These cud errors can raise the value of the coin to between $50 and $200 depending on the size and placement of the die break. Another example comes from the Block Island quarter. Some collectors have found quarters with a visible double die reverse. That's when part of the image appears doubled because of a slight shift during the minting process. While subtle, these errors are highly prized by error coin collectors. A clean example with good detail, and no major wear, can fetch up to $150 or more at auction. It's not just errors that bring in big money. Condition plays a huge role. Coins that have been graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC and receive a high grade, say MS67 or higher, can be worth a small fortune. A 2018 D Apostle Islands quarter in MS68 condition sold for over $500. That's 500 times its face value. And here's the kicker. Even if your coin isn't a known error, if it is in pristine, uncirculated condition with no scratches, stains, or signs of wear, it may still be worth submitting for grading. The modern coin market puts a premium on coins in perfect condition, especially if they're from mint rolls or collector sets. So what should you look for if you have a stack of 2018 quarters at home? First, check the mint mark. Look for the letter D on the front of the coin. Then inspect the design on the reverse, the back, for any doubling, cracks, or odd details. Flip the coin around and examine the edge. A weak strike or misaligned edge could be another clue you've got something special. If you think you've found something rare, your next step should be to weigh the coin. A standard quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin is significantly underweight or overweight, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet. That kind of error can bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now, let's talk about current market value. As of 2025, most circulated 2018 D quarters are still worth just face value. But in uncirculated condition, they can range from $1 to $5 each depending on the design and buyer demand. If you have an MS67 coin, that number jumps to around $30 to $70. If you manage to find an MS68, or a coin with a known error, you could be looking at over $100 and possibly a lot more, and the demand is growing. More collectors are turning their attention to modern coins, which means these prices could climb even higher over time. Especially as fewer of these coins remain in top condition due to circulation wear. So before you spend that quarter, take a closer look. You might be holding a small fortune in your hand without even knowing it. Whether you're a serious numismatist or a casual collector, the 2018 D Washington quarter dollar is definitely a coin to keep an eye on. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about valuable modern coins and hidden treasures in everyday change, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting!